One of the things in the introduction, I mentioned observational listening that you developed back in 2014. Talk to us about what that is and why that's so
Hmm.
important in leadership.
Well, it's actually a deepening of what we should be taught in leadership trainings, and that's active listening.
Mm,
Is how to be present in a conversation, how to make sure that the other person also feels heard, and that the other person sort of can share their story and that you're listening. Um, I was always puzzled why certain people could do this better than others. You notice people sometimes go into a conversation. For the one person, it just goes, and for the next person they battle. And my sort of observation in the long run was the difference is how they are present in a conversation. And the people where it just goes sort of so naturally and simply are the people who are observing what are the emotions that are going on in that other person right here and now. So not
mm.
what they're telling us about their emotions. No, what you're sensing in that other person is happening right now. And those people, they just naturally focus their conversation, and they steer their conversation according to what's happening in the conversation. And that part of observing, and I believe it's not only eyesight, it's also your hearing. It's actually trying to put all of your senses in as much as is possible to understand what's happening in that other person. These are the people where the conversation just flows. And that observational listening, I was really interested. Is this something you're born with, or is it a skill you can learn?
Yeah.
And the latter, and the latter seems to be true. So I've this has been my mission, is to take this observational listening and get people to have better conversations. Because if you ask me, that's the basis for not only for leadership, but also for happiness at work, is having better conversations.
I love that you started with being present. Is something that I talk about a lot. It's one of
Sure.
the most important things we do as a leader is be present. But one of the things what I like what you said is that this is something that can be learned. And so
Yes.
one of the areas you might someone might say is like I'm sorry, I lack empathy. I'm an accountant.
Uh-huh.
I'm an engineer. I'm a whatever. I lack empathy, right? But you're
Yeah,
saying
right.
you don't necessarily have to have empathy. You have to be
Yeah.
present and you have to be observing what's happening with all of your senses. And that's
Sure.
not being empathetic. That's actually being an active an active player in the conversation.
In a way, it's both, because I'm saying that empathy is this.
Yeah.
Empathy is listening, to being present, and just trying to observe and trying to use all your senses to get the best approximation possible of what's going on in the other. And just for listeners who might be thinking, well, I'm an engineer. Well, guilty. I was an engineer too. I started my career as an electrical and electronic engineer. So I don't think it's got to do with the profession you choose. I think it's got to do with just being aware, hey, hang on, I can tell electrons to go left or right, but people, different kettle of fish.
Yeah, I knew your background was in engineering. That's why I touched on that. And I'm also an engineer. So, and we're talking about leadership. So we're talking about things that are not, we didn't learn in engineering school at all, for sure. Yeah.
No, definitely not. No.